baby, I like it raw. Yeah, baby, I like it raw. Oh, baby, I like it raw. Yeah, baby, I like it raw. Shimmy, shimmy, y'all, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yeah. Give me the mic so I can take it away. Off on the natural charge, bon voyage. Yeah, from the home of the Dodger Brooklyn squad. Wu-Tang Killer, he's on the swarm. Rain on your college ass disco dorm. But you didn't even touch my skill. You gotta go to one killer B, and he ain't gonna kill now. Chop that down, pass it all around. Lyrics get hard, put cement to the ground. Pointy MC and any 52 states, I get psycho.
What's up, New York? Good morning. How y'all doing? Just hollering at you from the top of Rorick Heritage Vineyards in Calaveras County, California. Stoked to be joining you through the T. Edward Morning Show. Big love out to all 5 boroughs and to my peeps up in upstate. I know it's been a while since I've been out to see y'all, but I'll be back. So, you want to take a little peek out here at the vineyard. It was mighty cold last night. We got some rain. We've got a little bit of fog and mist coming up. Plenty cold. It's plenty cold this morning, but we figured we'd brave it to give you guys a view of the steep slopes up here at the top of RHV, because that's one of the things that really kind of makes this place what it is. The elevation, the steep slopes, and of course the rocks, which we'll talk about in a minute. My name's, again, Matthew Rorick. We're here at RHV, the home estate of Forlorn Hope wines and the Queen of the Sierra wines. Actually, we can have a little chat about the Queen of the Sierras too. If y'all have any questions, go ahead and just throw them out there. I'd be happy to holler at you with the answers to any questions. I'll make up some answers if I don't know them. Let's see, what should I tell you about the vineyard? Originally planted in 1975, 74 to 76, across 3 years. I took it over in 2013, slowly converted the farming to organic. As of 2018, we are 100% organically farmed. And as of 2018, both the Forlorn Hope and the Queen of the Sierra wines are 100% estate. That means we do all the farming, we control all the farming. It's been a long process getting there, but I think we're pretty stoked with the results. Seeing how much the vines, the cover crop, just the soil, even soil microbe health has increased with the switch to organics. Queen of the Sierra. Actually, I have questions about that. Where did that come from? Well, it was the name Queen of the Sierra was a nickname for the town of Murphys, which we're right outside of. We felt like it really kind of sums up what we are looking for in that wine is an expression of place, a real sense of place. From the vineyard. All of our single variety Forlorn Hope wines, of course, are from the same place as well. But when you take a multi-variety blend, as is the case with any of the Queen wines, the white, the rosé, the red, or the amber, we're using a large number of different varieties grown here in the vineyard. When you lessen the voice of the single variety, you raise the voice of the site. So instead of hearing Peak Pool or Albarino speaking, you hear the whole site speaking. It's almost like you think of it as like a choir in a cathedral. You don't hear individual voices, you hear the sound of the resonance of the cathedral. So we've just got the 2019, last year's rosé out to you. That is a predominantly Zinfandel, Tempranillo, and Barbera based rosé. The 2017 Queen of the Sierra White. Hold on, stay right there. The 2017 Queen of the Sierra White, Peak Pool, Verdelho, Chardonnay, Albarino, and our 2017 Red, we've got some Trousseau Noir and Zinfandel and Barbera Tempranillo. I mean, those are the predominant varieties, the ones I just listed off. We're growing so many things up here now. Right behind me, our first block of Nero d'Avola. Just went in last year. We're hoping to see a little bit of fruit out of it this year. Anyways, we do so many fun things. A little bit of that stuff ends up in here. So there's, you know, again, the voice of the entire place. But Trousseau Noir, Barbera, Tempranillo, those are the predominant. Zinfandel, sorry, Zinfandel. We inherited a lot of Zinfandel on the property, and it's actually come to be one of the primary contributors to the character of the Queen's red and pink. So, questions? Y'all have any questions? Did you want to know about my limestone? This is the real reason that that I left the coast. I left, you know, Napa Sonoma area, and came up here to Calaveras County. Oh, geez, hold on. Where's Calaveras County? I'll show you. This is the state of California. Right there's the Bay Area. Whoop, whoop. That's a Los Angeles. And this little slice of rainbow heaven is Calaveras County. So it's about 2.5 hour drive east of San Francisco. It's about the same distance from Napa or Sonoma, about 2.5 hours. So you see we're on the far eastern side of the state where the Sierras start to rise up. We're at 2,000 foot elevation here. We're quite a ways away from the ocean, obviously, so we don't see any maritime cooling influence. What we do have, we have a very alpine climate. We're up at 2,000 foot elevation, so in the evenings we get cold air rolling down from the higher peaks of the Sierra Nevadas behind us. We have a very nice broad diurnal temperature swing. We can be quite warm in the summer during the day, but the lows, we cool off quickly at night. That helps us keep plenty of natural acidity in the fruit and in the wines, which I'm sure you taste in all of those wines. But not only that, but wait, there's more. In addition to all that natural acidity preserved by the cool nighttime temperatures, we're sitting on a formation of limestone. This is not very common in California. California is a creative geology, creative geology and volcanic origins, largely volcanic origins, give us volcanic soils, typically acidic soils. This limestone that we're sitting on actually was a part of an island chain or a reef around a Pacific island some point way back in the geologic past, and it took a little migration across the Pacific and got scraped off onto the North American plate when the Pacific plate subducts under it right on the coast of California. So we're actually growing fruit. We're growing grapes on a tropical island way up in the sky. And this limestone that the vines have their roots in, what does that matter? Well, limestone is calcareous. It has a high calcium content. That pushes the soil pH up. It has an inverse relationship on grape and wine chemistry. So it pushes grape and wine chemistry pH, or grape and wine pH down. High pH soil, low pH wines. So in addition to that great natural acid I was saying we get from our cool nighttime temps, we also get low pHs naturally, which amplifies the perception of that acidity even more. So amazing place to grow wine grapes. Also gives us the opportunity to do some unsulfured wines and to even use extremely low amounts of sulfur in the wines we do sulfur. That natural acidity and low pH is a wonderful natural anti-bad microbe effect. Does that make any sense? It's a little early for us out here, and I'm also freezing. But so do we have any questions for in case you just tuned in? This is Matthew Rorick of Forlorn Hope Wines and the Queen of the Sierras up on top of Rorick Heritage Vineyard in Calaveras County, cradling a lovely piece of limestone.
Someone wants to know if you like pina coladas.
I like pina coladas. You know, it's crazy too. I like getting caught in the rain. But I'm not much into health food, but I am into champagne. Great question.
Can you talk about Sparkling Peak Pool?
Yes, I can. I can talk about Sparkling Peak Pool all day long. For a number of years, I'd been experimenting with doing a traditional method sparkling wines. I started back in good heavens, 2008, doing a few small lot trials. With sometimes I try things I really shouldn't have. I tried making a traditional method Torrontés. It was awful. I just ended up bottling it in a bunch of like 6 or 8 cases of Magnums. It was some of the worst wine I've ever made, but I learned a lot from that. Learned a lot about what you should and shouldn't do traditional method, which varieties, what characteristics in the varieties lend themselves to making a good sparkling wine. When I came up to take over this property in 2013, the peak pool that was planted here, it was already on the property when I got here. The chemistry, the pH, and the acidity just seemed that they were bang on for making a traditional method wine. I thought, let's do this. We have Chardonnay on the property too. That's an obvious choice, but I thought, if the chemistry looks good on the peak pool, let's give it a try. I'm really excited about the way it's turned out. What I would love to do, if I had all the money and time in the world, I would love to do some extended tirage on the Sparkling Peak Pool on the Heinzelman. Maybe going for like 8 years on tirage, see where that takes it. But it's just so hard because I just want to disgorge, finish them, and get them out to you guys, and because I want to drink them myself. So, but yeah, I hope you're digging that Heinzelman, that traditional method peak pool. I guess I could, instead of rambling on about random strange things, I could just give you a little bit about process on that. It's 3 years on tirage, and 0 dosage. Yeah, just in case you were wondering.
Are there any red varieties in the new Queen that are co-fermented?
We try to co-ferment everything that we can in the Queens, for a couple of reasons. One, because I think the earlier you get those varieties together, the more seamless the commingling and blending of the character of those varieties is. It just gives them more time to get to know each other and come together. But also, it can be a matter of expediency. We don't have a lot of tank space nor fermenters, and so if we can combine lots that are going to be blended together later anyway, it really helps us out in the winery during harvest. That said, some things just don't come in at the same time. With the reds, we have a little bit of Petite Syrah that ends up in the Queen Red. That's one of the last things we pick. The Barbera tends to be one of the first. So we're picking Barbera in late August, and we're picking Petite Syrah in October, and there's just no way we can co-ferment that. But if there's even a little bit of overlap, let's get those in the fermenter together.
There's a question about the limestone. What's the difference between the darker colored rock and the lighter colored rock?
Basically just the difference between the lighter colored rock and the darker colored rock, the striations in the limestone are just little variations in chemical composition and little variations in the in what created the limestone to begin with. This is all made from the carapace, the skeletons of marine invertebrates, coral reefs, slowly accreting on the seafloor, layering up. So you're going to get some variation in what in what's actually sinking down and settling there over time as this stuff was accreting. So yeah, just little variations in in the marine organisms, maybe even in some of the like sediment that was coming through the ocean at that time. Our limestone also is actually dolomite rich. We have a high proportion. We have straight up limestone, pure calcium, or not pure calcium. That would be amazing. Calcium carbonate, but we also have dolomite, and dolomite is limestone that has a proportion of magnesium in it. Limestone is very friable. You can rub the sand off on your hand, and the water will weather it very easily. Dolomite, with that little bit of magnesium in it, is very persistent. The rain won't wash it away. You can't feel that dust on your hand when you touch it. We have both. Actually, most of the outcrops of limestone on the property are mostly dolomite. That's why they're outcrops. They haven't washed away. And just you can kind of see it too as you look at the striations on the limestone. Limestone and dolomite, if you squeeze them very hard and very long under great pressure and temperature over geologic time, it turns into marble. So you can see that turning into some really cool veining of marble as well. We have little patches of marble on the property too.
How come no more Kerrigans from Poor Ranch?
Oh boy, this was one of the hardest decisions actually that I had to make. Starting the Forlorn Hope project in 2005. I was working exclusively with grower friends and purchased fruit, and with the purchase of the vineyard of RHV in 2013, it started to make more and more sense to shift the whole program to an all-estate lineup. We're growing more fruit here than we currently can use. Excuse me. We're growing more fruit here than we currently can use, and so it didn't make sense to keep buying fruit when we're selling fruit. Some of those relationships that I had built, like with the poor family and other growers across the North Coast, it was really hard to make that call and say, cool, we're going to go all estate and we're not buying fruit from you anymore. Susan and John Poor are dear friends of mine. They grow some amazing fruit. They have an amazing property. Actually, give me license to make a quick segue to talk about them, because they are actually one of the most amazing families, I think, in American viticulture, in Californian viticulture. Their family moved onto their property in Mendocino County in the late 1800s. They've been farming it continually since then. Fifth generation was just born on the property 2 years ago. They've been growing wine grapes since the 20s. They've been organic since they stepped onto the property, because they've never done anything other than dust with sulfur in the vineyard. And I honestly I would love, if anybody knows of a family that's been farming grapes in California for longer than 5 generations, dude, holler at me. I would love to know who it is, because this is they are like a true California treasure. I guess I'd have to have kids to have this happen, but I would love someday to have this just pass on through the family, or to have RHV pass on, and to be able to have my descendants say, hey, 5 generations ago, we started farming this place. We're still here. California, things just get sold and turned over and handed over, and they've continued to farm for 5 generations. So that's a long shout out for a grower who, much to my chagrin, I don't buy fruit from anymore. But man, I love that. I love that Carignan. Love the pours and love that ranch. Those vines are awesome. Okay, done with segue.
How deep is the soil here?
Well, that's a great question. That is the one big variable as you go across the whole vineyard. The variable is how deep is the soil on top of the limestone formation. We have about 2 feet in general, about 2 feet of topsoil that is very typical for the Sierra foothills. It's iron-rich clay and decomposed granite, little bits of quartz and iron ore. And then under that, some schist. And then under that is the limestone. And in some spots in the vineyard, there's essentially no topsoil, no schist. It's just limestone. In other spots of the vineyard, like where we're standing now, we're on a pretty significant layer. I mean, I don't know, maybe 4 feet, 5 feet deep of schist. So that that layer of schist and topsoil over the limestone is the big variable in the vineyard. And we've been using that fact to help guide what we're planting. As I said, up here on this 4 or 5 foot thick layer of schist on top of the limestone, so we planted some Nero d'Avola to take advantage of what I hope it will be Nero's affinity for schist. We'll see.
When's the Dragone being released this year?
Oh shoot, good question. We'll have to have. God, I can't think offhand. Usually we release that in the fall. And I think that, that'll probably be, we'll stick with that. I think we'll release that in the fall. Yeah. What with it being spring already, it won't be part of the spring. We are releasing the, in thinking in terms of wines along the same line and the same register, we are releasing the ODB. The Trousseau Noir is dropping right now. But yes, Dragone, fall. It's coming along really nicely. We actually did, in 19, we did 2 passes through the Pinot Gris. An early one and a late one. Early one for some great acid, a little bit later for a little bit more of that hibiscus tea character that is so predominant in that wine. And we played around a little bit with the cap management regimen, doing some submerged cap and very light irrigation techniques on it to see how that affected the wine. Turned out really well. Pretty stoked on it.
Are there any grapes or rootstocks that didn't work at RHV you've had to pull up or replace?
Oh boy. Well, aside from the obvious answer, man, I've had so much struggle with Gamay, but not because Gamay is not happy here, more because we can't seem to keep the deer out of the Gamay block. The deer have been trying to pull the Gamay out year after year, well, over the past 3 years. Actually, I think the only variety that I've tried. Well, no, I take that back. No, I don't think we've put anything in that hasn't done well. No, I don't think so.
What do you ferment in and why?
Whoa, man, what do we ferment in? It's kind of funny to look out at this sweep of vineyard and say, we're still sort of a small operation, because I'm saying small, but the whole Forlorn Hope thing grew from a little side project I did of a couple hundred cases, and it's been growing organically since 2005. And as such, I've bought whatever fermenters I could afford, and I'm still using a lot of the same stuff that I'd started with back in 2005. So what do we ferment in? Whatever we've got. We inherited some really weird old stainless tanks here at the winery, which for a few years, I would just kind of look at side eye and be like, fucking putting my wine in that. And now we're like, thank God we have those. So we ferment in stainless. Anything that's fermented in wood, it's all neutral wood. We don't use any new oak. We do a lot of fermentation in flex tank. We call them mushrooms. They look like big mushrooms. When you got the cap on, you can fit, when you've got the lid on, you can fit 2 or 3 tons in them, and they actually breathe like a wood vessel. The ferments seem really happy in those. Man, if I had my druthers, someday I would love to have concrete fermentation vessels for both reds and whites, using the concrete made with lime from the limestone on the property, so we could grow our fruit on limestone, ferment it in limestone, and age it in the same limestone. I don't know. I don't know if would it turn out any better? I'd sure love to find out. But even if it was just the same as now, I mean, the concept, geez, just keeping it in the limestone, that gets me all excited. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for the questions. Thanks for tuning in to the T. Edward Morning Show. Super stoked to be a part. Love y'all, and stay safe out there. We look forward to having a glass of wine with you real soon. In the meantime, just keep doing what you're doing, you players.